Have you ever sat down to figure out what you actually value and realized the list you came up with sounds right, doesn't feel true? Most people can name their values in about 30 seconds: honesty, family, hard work, loyalty. But if you look at how they actually live, the list often looks very different. And in the middle of a major life transition, the gap between what you say you value and what your life is actually proving you value becomes impossible to ignore. In this video, I'm going to show you why your old values stop fitting when you enter a new season, how to map the shift on the integrity wheel, and two specific audit questions you can use to let your behavior reveal what you actually value now. Hi, I'm Jessica. The reason it is so hard to know what you value during a major life transition is that the old answers may have been real. They may have served you for a long time. They may have helped you build a life, raise a family, survive a hard season, grow a career, protect your stability, or belong somewhere you needed to belong. But values are not frozen in time. A value can be true in one season and still need to be re-examined in another. The value that helped you survive may not be the value that helps you live. The value that helped you belong may not be the value that helps you become honest. The value that helped you build may not be the value that helps you release. The value that helped you keep the peace may not be the value that helps you tell the truth. That is why this work has to be current. You are not trying to identify the values that made sense 10 years ago. You are trying to tell the truth about what matters now. And here's the part that makes this harder than it sounds. When you were in the middle of a transition, the old values are still loud because they're familiar. They have years of evidence behind them, and the new values are quiet. They are just starting to form. If you built through your entire 20s around the value of achievement, that drive is going to be very loud when you turn 35. But the new, quiet desire for peace is going to be very hard to hear. And if you do not know how to read the difference, you will keep defaulting to the old list and wondering why it does not feel true anymore. If you have ever felt like you were living someone else's life, even though you built it yourself, take a moment and tap the like button. It helps this reach people who need to hear it. Here's what is actually happening. On the integrity wheel, we are always moving through interior seasons, and each season asks a different question about what you value. Spring is the season of becoming, when we ask what is actually ours. Summer is the season of building, when we ask what we are giving our life to. Autumn is the season of reckoning, when we ask what is true now, and what has to be released. Winter is the season of emptying, when we ask what remains when the false things fall away. So the question is not only, what do I value? The better question is, what values fit the season I'm actually in? What I've observed is that most people never ask that second question. They just keep trying to apply the values from a previous season to a life that has already moved on. And here's what that costs you. When you are trying to make decisions from a values list that no longer fits, every choice feels harder than it should. Not because you lack clarity, but because you're consulting the wrong map. You are trying to navigate a summer life using a winter map, and you cannot figure out why you keep getting lost. Your values are not discovered by thinking harder. They are revealed by looking honestly at your behavior. That does not mean your behavior is always aligned. It does not mean that your current patterns are automatically the values you want to keep. It means your behavior shows you what is currently running the system. And once you can see that clearly, you have a choice. You can keep organizing your life around values you inherited, outgrew, or never consciously chose. Or you can begin choosing the values that fit who you are becoming now. That is where self trust starts to become practical. Because self trust does not mean trusting every impulse, it means learning to make choices from the values you are willing to live. If this framework is helping you make sense of where you are, please consider subscribing. New videos are published 2 to 3 times a week, and this is the work we get to explore together. So, here is a simple way to begin. Do not start by asking, what are my top 5 values? That question can get abstract very quickly. Start by asking, what does my life currently prove I value? Look at your calendar. Look at your spending. Look at what gets your best energy. And look at what gets protected. Look at what gets postponed. Look at what you keep returning to. Look at what you keep resenting. Look at what you say yes to automatically. And look at what you avoid, even when you say it matters. This is not to shame yourself. It's to get honest data, because your life is already showing you something very important. Maybe it shows that you value security more than freedom right now. Maybe it shows that you value approval more than honesty. Maybe it shows that you value comfort more than growth. Maybe it shows that you value your work more than your body, even though your body is the thing asking for attention. This is not meant to be a moral trial. This is collecting information, and information gives you a place to begin. Then ask the second question. Do I want to keep living that way? That is where the work begins, because once you see the value your behavior is proving, you can decide whether that value still belongs at the center of your life. What I've observed is that some values need to be strengthened, some need to be softened, others need to be retired, and some were never yours to begin with. Others are waiting underneath all the noise to be acknowledged and recognized. Once you know what you actually value now, your choices have somewhere to land. Your yes becomes clearer. Your no becomes cleaner. And your outer life can begin to reflect your inner life again. If the old answers do not fit anymore, start here. Do not ask what sounds good. Ask what your life is currently proving. Then ask whether you want to keep proving that. What is one value your behavior is currently proving? And whether you like the answer or not, tell me in the comments. Now that you know what your life is currently proving, the next question is, where did those values come from? Because a lot of what we call our values were handed to us long before we were old enough to choose them. That is where we are going next. That video is called Chosen versus Inherited Values, and it'll be on your screen. This work matters. You matter. I'll see you in the next one.